Pulse of Neopa is an interview program made to highlight the many unique and creative men and women in our community. Each episode will feature the movers and shakers who make up Cantown, Ohio, business owners, artists, musicians, DJs, craftsmen, writers, poets, and other creative individuals. Hello, Tyrone Semper here. We're doing a very special broadcast. We're going to replay this during the day, obviously. But I am here today with some gentlemen from WildStark. Your website is called wildstark.org. And let's see if I can get you guys. That's okay. Benjamin. You're Benjamin?
Hello.
Hello, Benjamin. And we got Kane and Mitchell. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what your organization is and what you're trying to do in the community. So, Ben, why don't you tell us just a little bit about the purpose and what you're doing?
Well, we slot in kind of underneath the county level park systems, and we see that there's a lot of little tiny towns and small parks that don't get attention like the county level parks do. And the county level only has so much money, only has so much resources. So we're trying to come into township level and village level parks like we have here in Navarre, where we can really make a difference without having to deal with the overhead of the county or whatever the government may want to do.
Okay, so when did you start the organization?
The organization itself was September 30th of last year, I believe.
Around there.
But we started doing the projects that now make up the organization in 2022.
2022,
Yeah.
okay. And then are you based in that area where I'm thinking of it, Navarre?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
mostly based in Navarre. Right now, pretty much everything we do has to do with Navarre except for the Stark County Native Fish Display. That's our big outreach event that we do once a year. But the majority of it is in Navarre just because we only have so many people, we only have so much manpower.
And that's where we all grew up too. That's our local community that, we've grown up running around in and seen change over the years. And, part of that too, growing up in that area and seeing that park, now we can think about what has happened before.
Gotcha.
And how we were as kids, it was always cool to think about if we wanted X, Y, and Z to happen back then. Now we can actually start taking the steps for X, Y, and Z to happen.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're Kane, and what is your position at the organization?
I'm the treasurer.
You're the treasurer.
So I'm bean counter. Other people know me for being real cheap. So, I'm good with finances. One of my older bosses used to say that I save my money so well that it grows mold in my safe at home. So he used to make fun of me and say I have moldy money.
Okay. And then now, Ben, you're the president?
Yep.
Okay. And then Mitchell, you are...
Secretary.
Secretary.
Yes.
Secretary is one of the most powerful jobs. I've been secretary many times.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go take a look at the website, and I just want you to kind of walk us through it there. Let me give you a better feed so you can see what I'm hitting on. There we go. Okay, so it's wildstark.org for those listening at home. And so tell us about the mission exactly. So you talked about you're helping to do private funding of parks, is that?
Yeah, so instead of having to deal with federal or state funding, we can go through local businesses, and
Okay.
by spreading a message and getting a word out there, we can make the goal is for the work to not be done by the state or the federal, but to be done by the people in the community.
In the community.
So by getting the local businesses and the local people themselves to be the ones funding it, it really removes the overhead that we would have from government telling us to do it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of democratizes it.
I see. So is there a lot of... so you're very community-based, the whole,
Yes.
the whole
Yes.
thing? Okay. And then... so how is the fund? Like, what kind of funding are you looking for, or what are you trying to do exactly? Do you have any numbers in mind yet, or?
Not exactly numbers. Right at the moment, we're just taking whatever's given to us. We just finally instilled pretty much a payment plan, or I wrote up a treasury report because we finally had our first large donation where we could start trying to
Okay.
do some of the things we've been planning.
Okay. So let's get back to the website here. This is promote citizen science project. So you had a thing at the fair. Was that a citizen science project then?
You could call it that.
Okay.
The easiest way for the citizen science to come into play is iNaturalist. It's an app on your phone.
Okay.
It's another nonprofit organization operates that. It's used by a lot of full-fledged scientists, but it's a really easy way for people to be able to go out, take a picture in the park of a plant or an animal, and then the software in the app will help you identify what it is. And if you're not sure, that's okay. You just say what you think it is, and then me or Kane or somebody else that's not related to you at all, that would never know that you went and saw that, they see it on iNaturalist and they go, oh, yes, that is a Donny woodpecker. Or
How
that
do
is
you?
a Donny
How
hawk."
does it actually find the people to answer the question? I mean, is it?
It's all
Community-based?
community-based. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
really?
it's an open source project. So basically, if you go on there and you start looking into it, you can find key points on, like, if you find like a plant that's been reported, and you click on it. There's basically like a tier system of, like, if it's just reported, if it's been confirmed by the community, and then confirmed by like a scientist. I don't know the exact levels. I haven't.
Okay.
looked
What's
much
the name
into
of the app? Or the,
iNaturalist.
iNaturalist.
INAT.
list. iNaturalist app.
Yes.
Oh, that's very cool. I never heard of that. It's kind of
It's
neat.
super powerful.
Really? Okay. So is it works with any phone or whatever?
Yeah, there's an iPhone app, there's an Android
Yep.
app.
And they got the web-based web page here.
If you hit the Explore tab up there, it'll give you a map,
Where am I looking?
top left.
Top left. Okay. It'll give you a map. So
And then you can look on that map and see what's already been documented. So we have, inside of this, we can create what's called projects for a
Okay.
certain area. So I have one of all the plants that I identified in the Navarre Bethlehem Township Park. So that when somebody comes in, eventually we'll have that QR code on a sign, so they scan
Okay,
it with their
so you
phone,
go to
it
map.
brings them to the app, and they can see exactly what's there.
okay. So you go to map, and then what? So we just.
Yeah, just zoom into an area. The red shows you that there are observations there, basically.
Okay.
And is it true too that once you make a project for an area, say like how you made the project for the park, and then I'm there doing observations and taking pictures, it'll automatically add it
Yeah.
to said
It
observation?
depends on how we have it set up. Right now, it's not set up that way, but I need to modify it, to be honest, so that it does operate so that everybody can add to it. Right now, when you take a picture, you add to it, it's always going to be there. It's just a question of, do I have the data filter set up properly so that it sees yours as part of the project?
Okay. So are these dots then you, or is that?
Each
They're
dot
not,
is
not all necessarily me, that's anybody.
Anybody in the community who's using iNaturalist to identify local plants.
Most of the ones that are plants in the park are me.
That's
but
amazing. I mean.
each dot on that map is a discovery that's reported, basically.
Or do you
Either
know
whether
any
that be
one of these that
wildlife-
would be yours that you did, or?
If you click on any of the ones that are right under your map right now, your mouse right now,
There's a
those
good
are all the
chance
ones that
that's
are in the
his.
wetland. If you go to
That's
the
a
right
good
over there.
chance.
Wild mulberry. Does it give the name of the person who did it, or?
Maybe hover over the top right where the person icon is.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it'll.
Yeah.
It's
Is it
just
not public.
Nope, it is.
How do you know?
If you hover, it's
Yeah, look at the bottom of the
preview of the
URL.
URL.
the preview of the URL right
It
above the
says
task.
people
Oh,
slash
okay.
Ben Bravis.
Yep, people
Oh, wow.
slash Ben Bravis.
So I can
that's-
actually just click on you
I guess
then?
that is one of mine.
Yes.
Yeah. So
It'll
if you
just
click
take
on
you.
that,
Oh, okay.
You should be able to hit observations there.
Yep.
That'll show
Oh,
you
wow.
all the things that I've ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can literally do. Is it all just species and plants or rocks?
Plants, animals,
Plants, animals.
anything alive.
Yep.
Anything alive, not rocks or.
No, I don't think they have
I'm
anything.
just
to
saying.
I mean, we haven't tried. We could
I mean,
theoretically try, but
okay.
it'd probably
That's
get
plants and
denied.
animals basically, and this could be anywhere basically, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's worldwide.
we use this in one of my classes. I had a wetland biology class, a wetland ecology class, and we used it to track beaver locations. So you could take pictures of a tree and you'd be able to put in, okay, this is evidence of beavers doing their thing, and then we could map that, and then anybody can pull that data. So it's not just us that has the data.
I see. So it seems like you guys are you have more dots in Navarre
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah,
dots
it's a-
now.
than we got in Canton. I just wonder if there's no one else that's doing this. That's fascinating.
I'm sure somebody is.
I mean, I don't see any dots here. I'm going to start with
Right now, you're still on Ben's profile, so it's
you're
only
right.
showing where.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me go
Yeah,
back
it's
to the
only
map.
showing my 260.
How do I get out of his
observations.
profile here?
I got classmates that are over 800. I don't know how they have time.
So you could probably go to the top right where it says filters.
Filters.
Click on that, and then
Oh, I
you
see.
probably reset search filter or
Hit the X on the profile.
Either one.
There you go. So that should appear any public findings.
Now it's
Do we jump? Okay. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
yeah
Now that
yeah now it's
Wow. How do I get rid of this thing
So
here?
just for the statement, currently iNaturalist has over 228,000 observations. Almost
Just in the area he's
229.
looking.
Just in the
Just
area.
in that area.
Just in that area.
No, that's-
okay. No, that's the world.
Oh no, that's the
That's
one.
total.
That's 228 million.
228 million. Yeah,
How do I
Over
get rid of this thing over here?
509,000
Is that
species
just-
as well.
I don't.
What that allows me to do, the coolest application of it is when we want to go to add species to the park, which we are currently working on right now, it makes it really easy for me to draw a box over the park and then go, give me a list of all the species. And then I can feed that list into AI and have it organized in the way that I want to. And that comes back to, we can use Gemini to operate those things.
Wow, that is incredible.
There's a lot of technological tools that I've been taught at school
I can't
that
even
are
see
super
the city
useful.
anymore. How do I turn off maybe layers? Or?
It's kind of a learning curve to
Okay.
learn the filters on there, but once you learn it, it is very powerful.
Yeah. Okay, I got rid of some of that stuff.
For example, we have a file that has all of the species that have been marked in Stark County. So then we can take that and we can put that into an offline artificial intelligence model that runs locally on one of our computers. And then you can ask it, hey, I'm looking for this species of tree. Where's the best place in Stark County to find it? And it knows all the GPS locations of all these different trees, and it can tell you where the highest concentration is.
Okay, so now I got the map on here. Okay, so this is iNaturalist.org is the site I'm looking at right now. So how come it just shows the? Oh, it's just showing me the Navarre ones.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So now it's isolated just the whole
Yeah, yeah.
Navarre area and all the points found.
So how
in
many
that
species
area.
did you say you found? Or?
So right now in the Navarre Bethlehem Park, we have I think 55 species, somewhere between 55 and 60 species marked. But once we get our seeds in this spring, we're gonna over double that. We're adding 71 species. So we're adding more than what we have right now.
Okay, so this now the numbers. Flip back on. Now the numbers show. This is the observations in your area, then, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Now we're
everything
localized just to
within the
Navarre.
custom
This-
boundary.
Yes, that's
Considered by the
you
address.
put a boundary over all of Navarre, so
Yep.
the numbers
Okay.
you see are as of Navarre as of right now.
So you're trying to plant new species.
Yeah, so in the wetland and the pollinator meadow, which the pollinator meadow is pretty much just, if you drive through Navarre Bethlehem Park, there's an area that doesn't look like it got mowed in the last couple of years. That's because it hasn't. That's the pollinator meadow. So we're going to throw some seeds there, we're going to throw some seeds in the wetland, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so you're only doing stuff from Stark County. Is that the idea? Or
Everything that we're planting is native, yes.
okay, so you're not like planting something from Africa or something.
No,
No,
nothing like
it's all
that.
native to this
You could
area.
though, right?
We're going through, our seed supplier is actually based here in Ohio, so
Okay.
we know all
Okay.
their stuff is
Yep.
catered to our environment.
Okay, so you're trying to recultivate new species in community based.
Yeah, we were
Okay.
hoping that we'd be able to wake up the seed bank by just letting it go, but that didn't happen in the first couple of years. That would take another 10, 20 years, and the people of Navarre deserve to see something cool, so we're going to put the seeds in there
I
and
see.
jumpstart it.
Okay, now is there any edible stuff you're planting or?
So there is, the main species that we have there is edible, but if I catch somebody going out there, I swear, man.
What if
We
they're
only
hungry?
have so many of them, but Sagittaria latifolia, the English name is arrowhead or Katniss. It
Okay.
was also called Wapato. It's got a bunch of different names.
Yeah.
But
Well,
go ahead.
if somebody is interested about it being edible, that could be something we set up a day and introduce people about native edible plants. And
Yeah.
then, hey, if you want to try some of that, then
That would be a
there-
really
there
cool.
it is.
Have you been to
educational
the
opportunity.
Garden of the Five Senses at McKinley Park?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, north of 12th Street. Beautiful park, and it has a little zone where it's five senses. So you got touch, taste, and you can literally just eat it. You know, every time I go there, I do.
That is cool.
You know, hearing some plants make more sounds. You should go there. It's north of
Yeah.
12th Street, on where the
Yeah.
McKinley, the main park is, where the monument is and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
north of 12th Street. Definitely check it out. You'd love it. It'd be cool to see. I'd like to see those everywhere because it's got plants you can eat, and you're kind of encouraged. Like, hey, take a little bite. You know, obviously not like have a full meal, but
Yeah. So, anyways, the wapato or Katniss or arrowhead, it grows really similar to a potato, but it's a wetland plant. So after 4 or 5 years, once they're fully mature, they get little things on the bottom called a corm, C-O-R-M, not corn, but corm, and it's just a starch storage device. Well, humans have fat, plants have starch. Same thing as a potato. A potato is just a starch storage device where
I
they're
see.
storing energy for the year's future. We dig them up and we eat that. Same thing can be done with the arrowhead. But again, I do not see anybody eating my arrowhead.
now can they be mass cultivated or are they just a wild crop? Or?
They can, but it's not super easy. The indigenous tribes were really good about cultivating them, especially in the Pacific Northwest. It was cultivated a lot out there. But in order to have large amounts of wapato or arrowhead, you're going to need large amounts of wetland. And unfortunately, the majority of Ohio's wetlands have been destroyed. We used to be a state of nothing but wetlands, and then we drained them for farming purposes. And, yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. So the citizens. Okay, so have you had a lot of citizen science community engagement?
What's that?
There's been a lot of people active in the community regarding this whole project, or
Yeah, we had our first public meeting last week, and it was actually last Wednesday.
okay,
Worked out pretty well. We didn't have a ton of attendance, but we had a lot of key players in the community that came out to see us.
okay.
It was interesting to get to talk to my old biology teacher
Oh, really?
as, you know, one-to-one. We're both adults now. We can talk about science. It was really cool.
Okay. Okay. So, do you have any? What kind of partnerships are you working on right now? What other groups?
Our biggest partnership is with the Federation, the Stark County Federation of Conservation Clubs.
Okay.
They were our first major donor. They got us started, really. They're the ones that operate the Blue Wildlife Building at the county fair. They don't have much of a web presence, unfortunately.
Oh, I don't. I'm trying to find their website. They have nothing.
But they operate the Blue Wildlife Building, and they were the ones that gave us the initial space to show fish at the fair, because otherwise there would be nowhere to put a fish tank at the fair. And I happen to have a friend that was the guy that sets up who gets what area in that building, and it worked out that we ended up doing it. People loved it, and 3 years later it just keeps expanding.
Okay, so let's take a look at the fair pictures. Okay, so
So that image there is a crawdad display that we had running.
Okay.
That was fun. All the equipment that we had this year that was electronic got donated by an aquarium company called Awaze.
Okay.
They are one of the larger European manufacturers, but their North American wing was the one that helped us out.
Now, was that easy to do to get a donation, or you just have to
It
call
was
money?
really just because I've been involved in the aquarium club side of
gotcha.
things, and I happened to be friends with the guy, one of their salesmen, so that worked out well.
All right, what's this one? It looks like it's a.
So that tank is a representation of Craig Pittman Park. Would be kind of how you'd see the goal of all of these tanks was, if you were to go to that spot on the map, which in this one is the Tuscarora Silver
Okay.
Water, if you go to that spot on the map and you went underwater, this is about what you'd see.
Oh, I
So
see.
you would see that long flowy plant, which is Vallisneria americana.
So you actually had to fill up the tanks with water then? Is it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So-
Yeah, we
This is
spent-
a massive thing.
We
I was gonna
spent
say.
like 14 painstaking hours that day to move the tables and the tanks, and then go out to collect the plants and the gravel, and then what was going
From
in
the
the
site, you
tanks.
mean?
Yeah, so
What's from
everything
the
in that tank
from the
is
different
collected
sites.
from that location.
Including
all
Okay.
7 tanks.
Including the
are-
water?
Including the
Not the water.
seven,
Not the water,
seven,
okay,
not
you
the
don't
water.
want
The
Okay.
water's
So-
the only thing that we
Yeah.
didn't transport.
Okay.
But I mean, we were out with 5-gallon buckets, collecting gravel and the different sticks, and especially the plants. Like we were at Sippo Lake collecting, what was it, the lily pad or the
No,
arrowheads?
the lily pads.
Yeah, the lily pads. And that was probably the craziest I've ever had people look at us.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Seeing one guy go out waist deep in water, pulling out lily pads so that we could collect them and then take them to display.
That was fun. I had to get a
Which one
photo
was
to
that?
do that one. Keep going. Keep going.
While you're searching for that, I remember the one day we just spent gathering driftwood for the main displays. All that wood you see in there is driftwood from those local areas.
So the plants on the left there are the arrowhead that I was talking about that are edible in the certain
Right here?
circumstances. Yeah.
Okay.
The left side is arrowhead. The right side is cattails.
Okay.
Cattails aren't actually something that you want in a wetland because there's invasives and natives.
Okay,
and it's
take
really
over
hard to tell
everything, or-
apart. Yeah.
Wipe out the-
Cattails in general take over.
Oh, really?
So whether it's native or non-native, you can't really tell very easily because they hybridize really fast. So it's almost impossible to say that this one isn't entirely native or
Is
entirely
that the
non.
lily pad there?
That's
Yeah,
your lily
that's-
pad tank.
Yep.
Okay. So you got them from where? Where this is?
Yeah.
Oh, Sippo Lake. Okay.
That's Sippo Lake.
Great. Okay, I've been there many times. Okay, so what you did is how did you choose the locations that you focused on or whatever?
So to pick the locations this last year, we pretty much just went to areas that we didn't go to the year before.
Okay, so
So
you did it this year before.
The second year we had 17 tanks, so we had a lot more locations, but I couldn't devote a bunch of time to any one location. This time we only had 7 tanks, and
Most recently, you mean?
yeah,
Okay.
this year and in future years, because we now own the tanks, we'll only have 7 tanks, but they're bigger, so that allows us to have a little more freedom.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so you excuse me. You set this up a year ago in 2023.
So I
At the
first
fair?
did it in 2022, and it was
Oh.
6 small tanks that I happened to have in my basement. It was just kind of thrown together on some workbench tables from my dad's wood shop.
Yeah.
And the second year, my dad and I designed the stand that we still use, but the floor in the Blue Wildlife Building is nowhere close to level, and if you don't have your aquarium stands level, they tend to break the aquarium. So,
jeez.
especially when you get something.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
75-gallon
Yeah, I
size.
gotcha. If it's going like
So
that.
we had to build this crazy stand that can level at 6 different points
I
on
see.
every module, and each module is 8 feet long. So it's a 24-foot by 9-foot display. So it made it kind of a challenge to do that. Luckily, my dad is good enough on the engineering side that I didn't have to worry about it.
Okay, so you started so this is before you started the organization. then?
Yeah, this is before
This-
Wild
this
Stuff was
hobbyist
technically
kind
a
of
thing.
Eagle Scout thing, or
It was just me being bored that I couldn't go to the fair anymore because
Oh.
I'm an Eagle Scout, but I was also raised in the 4-H program at
Oh, okay.
Southern County Fairgrounds. So it was weird for me to go to college and then now I don't have anything to take to the fair, and that's been part of my life.
Okay,
for
so
the
in the
last 10
foliage
years.
program,
What's that?
In the foliage program, you would take stuff to the fair. Is that what is that? I mean,
The 4-H.
4-H.
forage program. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
sorry.
Forage program.
I did 4-H for 8 years, and I stopped my senior year of high school just because I wanted to have a year before I went to college. But after a couple of years, I was really bored that I didn't have anything to do that first week of summer. And now I get to take the first week of school off still, so that's useful.
Okay, so the fair thing is a native fish display. Is that something different than?
No, that's
Nope.
the fair display.
That is.
That's what we just saw there.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
It's written a little bit weird, but
Okay.
because when we were formed, we didn't really know exactly how it was going to go. We knew we were going to wrap all the projects in, but not entirely sure how. They've only now been solidified.
Okay, let's move on to the map. Where's the map at here? place, right? It's a little computer. So, so this is sort of a hobbyist project that you're turning into something bigger. Is that kind of how you would describe it initially?
Yeah,
or-
it started off as a collection of little research projects that I was doing, and to the fair, which is just a massive community service project. And once I started getting companies and people and organizations donating to me so that I could keep doing it, I realized I can't do this without it being 501c3. I really need it to all be its own thing, separate from me.
Yeah. So now you guys you're all in the Boy Scouts, and I believe 2 of your are Eagle Scouts. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, Mitch
Okay.
and I.
Okay. So what did you do for your final project for Boy Scouts? For Eagle Scout.
My project was, I put up a bunch of signs for the Brewster Disc Golf Course, which at the time I didn't know anything about disc golf. I
Oh,
still
okay.
don't know anything about disc golf, but it was a project.
Okay.
I had originally planned to do a bunch of stuff with flag bases around the boulevard in Beach City, in Brewster, but I'm pretty sure somebody else picked that up after I wasn't able to do it. There was some city politics that I had to work through that
Okay.
ended up
Gotcha.
preventing it.
Yeah. And what did you do for? Oh, you're the okay.
Yes,
I was kidding.
all good. So for mine, I'm also want to touch base on another Scouts project because my project was hosted at the American Legion in Beach City.
Okay.
I moved their back door, which is the main entrance to their dinners, from the side of the building to the middle,
Oh wow.
and I made it fully handicap accessible because the previous door was not. They were having some issues with some people that were trying to enjoy some dinners in some wheelchairs, and it was kind of getting in the way. So I decided to help them out, replace the door, move it back to the center, so it opened up table space inside,
Okay.
and it was able to.
So are you a
benefit
construction background or?
everyone. No, I'm just precision machining background, but
Oh, machining. Okay.
yes, but at that time I didn't really have a background in that, so
Just learned it.
actually. Ben's dad was my project manager,
Oh, okay.
so I
Nice.
went to him for knowledge assistance. But with the other scout, I want to mention that is kind of in relation to our mission was Cale Tucker out of the same troop I was in. His Eagle Scout project was at the Legion as well, but the backside of the property there's a hill that he removed invasive species out of, and was able to install a staircase to prevent people from destroying the hillside, because before there wasn't really a access point to go down to see the lower level land next to the river, so it really destroyed the wildlife there. He was able to establish a permanent structure to allow people to not destroy in other places.
Where was that again?
The American Legion Post 549 in Beach City.
Oh,
Ohio.
Beach City. Okay.
Yes. So the reason I wanted to specify that project is because was straightforward towards wildlife conservation.
Also
And
because he's the scoutmaster. I
that
forgot
too.
to mention that part.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
You're the scoutmaster.
I am the
Oh,
scoutmaster
okay.
of that troop.
Congratulations.
And that was also kind of the push for me to also join and help out as part of a member of Wild Stark as well, is because our mission is to educate for wildlife, and the Boy Scout program, the Scout program is all that with teaching kids how to lead, grow, team, all in an outside wild wilderness setting. So I'm able to kind of cross-reference the educational
It
part.
all just came together real easy,
Yeah.
and it's one step leads to another, so you might as well combine both. And
Yeah.
And the One Scouts Eagle Scout Project, Cale, his project really inspired me to help form it, because that was a push towards wildlife conservation as well.
Okay, so your vision then, let's take a look at this map here while I got this pulled up. I think you cut this map, or made this map.
Yeah, I made
Okay.
that one. I made a
So
bunch.
this is for, what's the name of this park? Just,
So this is 3 different parks combined. On the northern side, you've got the Navarre Village Park, which is operated by the village exclusively. Then in the middle, south of Full and north of Hudson, you've got the Navarre Bethlehem Township Park. That's where a wetland is, and a meadow, which they're right underneath your mouse right now, actually.
okay,
At the
right
base
here.
of that gray hill. And then all the way down by the river is the Craig Pittman Memorial Park. That's operated by Stark Parks. So we've
Okay.
got 3 different organizations that operate these.
Okay, so you got
parks,
Navarre
and
City.
The only way for them to work
Okay.
together is through me.
Really?
It's become really weird, but we become the go-between between all these different organizations, and we are getting people together to put together a unified front and actually do something. There's been a lot of time where different groups are infighting and different groups don't want to do this. This one
Oh, I
wants
see.
to do that, but we're kind of unifying that. It's really cool to see.
Okay, so Craig Pittman is.
Craig Pittman is down kind of in the middle, in between the 2 streets.
Okay.
And sorry, I said that wrong. Pittman is south of the southmost street,
Okay.
and then Navarre Bethlehem Township is in the middle.
Okay, and then where's the other one? You
The
said-
village is north of Full Road there. So
Okay.
they all got.
This is
baseball
the middle
fields.
one is controlled by.
That is partially the village and partially the township. There's a
Okay.
volunteer parks board that operates that.
Which one was
Really
Stark
cool story
Parks then?
Behind how that starts. What's that?
Which one was Stark Parks? Is it?
Stark Parks is the southernmost one.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Craig Pittman. I really enjoy Craig Pittman because that's the only place that you can really easily get to the river in our area.
Oh, I see.
There's a little road that I have drawn on there that goes past that parking lot and down onto the sandbar. You can drive right out onto the sandbar in the summertime.
Oh, wow.
And there's all kinds of community get-togethers out there, people having fun, camping.
Okay, so this
doing all
is
sorts of
Full
stuff.
Road. Okay.
Great place to fish too.
So what street is this? Or you get the is there?
That's the
Railroad.
railroad.
Those are
Okay,
the
it's just
railroad
Full Road,
tracks.
and what's this bottom street is?
The bottom street is Hudson.
Hudson. Okay, I don't think I've ever been to this park.
Yeah, you've probably driven through it and not noticed. When you go across Full Road, you go down and you just blink through it in the valley and then you're out of there.
It is a beautiful place to visit, though.
We really need to get some more trails in there. That's something that we've brought to the attention of the various parks boards. And there's a lot of opportunities where we can add some pretty cheap trails that'll have a lot of impact as far as the ability to view the park. Something that has never really been looked at before, but that we noticed within the last couple months, is if you look at both sides of the parks there, see how the topographic lines get really close and it's kind of looks like a gorge? There's a 60-foot deep gorge there that nobody ever talks about.
Is that right here where that says Navarre Parks map?
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the
right
gorge.
side, that's the east side of the gorge, and then the west side of the gorge is underneath the Wild Stud Foundation name there.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. No one ever talks about it.
Everybody uses the sled riding hill, but it's kind of hard to notice that it's all a gorge unless you go up off the trails, off the beaten paths, and you can really see it. We see an opportunity for a pretty cool connection between Navarre Bethlehem Park, the center point of the park, which is the pavilions down next. There's a little symbol on the map. It's called Julie's Wind Phone. There's a half of a trail that got started probably back in the 60s, 70s, but never got finished. They cut down a bunch of trees and they made a nice mowed path up the hill, and then it just stops.
Yeah.
But the trail's still there. You could still walk right up there, and you end up next to Full Road, where you can come out, and that overlook is gorgeous, but it's not made safe enough for the average person to go up through it. So we gotta work on some trail making there.
Yeah, okay.
The other
So
side's got similar
for those who
scenarios.
are not from this area, Navarre is located. I guess this one. Turn off the light. So Navarre is located southwest of Canton, Ohio.
Correct.
So just gonna zoom out so people can see where we're talking about. So Canton is right here in the middle, and Navarre is gonna be just that way, a little bit south of Lake Erie, of course. And then to get there in Navarre to that park, you have to go. You just take 62. So it's away from the downtown, basically.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
think-
close
okay.
to the downtown. If you're going down 21 in Navarre,
Yeah.
you can turn left on Full Street if you're headed south,
Okay.
and that'll take you right over to the borderline between the village park and the
Where's
township
Full
park.
Road there? Oh,
There's a
Warner.
little
Okay,
road
so
that
it's
you can turn
Warner.
off to the right.
Worcester Street turns into Full Road. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
so I know it is full. I don't even think about the fact that it's Worcester.
Okay. Now I do remember going down here And I think I went way down this way for some reason. Is there like a park or something down here?
The towpath trail runs all the way down.
That's
to
what
Yeah.
it was. Okay.
So the
Gotcha.
Navarro Park system is uniquely connected to the towpath trail.
So that's on the north side of Tuscarawas River.
Yeah, just
That's
on
this
the
little
north
line
side.
right here. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's the
Yeah, that's
towpath.
the towpath.
Okay. Okay, so I think I took my dogs or my kid or something down here. Okay, I was just trying to remember that. Okay, so maybe I've been through there, but so it's not really. You drive past it, you don't really see what's there. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's really
easy
easy
to
to just
go
drive
through.
past.
So you're going to plant new species in both of these parks, all three of these parks?
Not all three, only right underneath where your mouse is right now. They're in the
Bethlehem
Navarro Bethlehem
Park,
Township
yes.
Park. We've
Okay.
got the wetland and the pollinator meadow. Those two areas will get seeded, but we don't have the budget to do a whole lot in the woodlands yet, mostly because before we plant the woodlands, we need to do a lot of invasive species removal. So it's going to be either a lot of volunteering or a lot of hours of me out there doing it. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we get a bunch of volunteers to help us out.
Okay, so is this the one right here then?
Correct.
Yep, that would be
That's where you're going to plant. Now I noticed on your website you had some kind of a little chart or something on the main page.
yeah, that was
I know it wasn't on the main page.
that is an extremely complicated summary of the study that we've had running there for the last couple of years. So before we were going to plant this, we started off just by studying it to see how does a ditch become a wetland. Because the area that's now Navarro wetland, that's a fen, it started off as a ditch. It was just a ditch that they had cut there long time ago, and over time, the ditch failed. Because the guy that dug it dug the center point 1 foot lower than the drain. So you're going to have some water sitting there, and as the water sits there, certain plants manage to get in, and the whole thing all the soil transitions have happened because of the plants that showed up. And that's the arrowhead plant we were talking about earlier. That guy comes in and turns the soil from being a sandy, clayey soil into a beautiful.
Okay, so the
black
image on the
clay.
screen for those who, well, I know we're on the radio, but so the ditch is. This is like different elevations. This is a chart you put together.
Yeah. I got really into making charts over the summer last.
Now tell me a little bit about. You mentioned how you use Gemini to do
Yeah.
the data, which is an AI program. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that? How that works, or
So we use Gemini in a lot of cases just to move data around on a page.
okay?
So like when I made the species lists so that we know what we're planting into the wetland and the pollinator meadow, I couldn't, if I pulled it all off the website that we got the information from, it wasn't formatted properly, and it's 71 species, so I wasn't going to format it all manually. That would take forever.
I see.
So what I did is I copy paste all these individual lists, and I tell Gemini, hey, reorder this in this way, put the species name in English,
Yeah,
then the
yeah.
species name in scientific, and lay it out as such. Then the coolest part is I can take all these lists and I can have it cross-reference all the different lists back to a PDF that shows the target species of what the state tells us should be in this wetland.
Oh, I see.
So I can say, okay, I need you to take all these and put an X next to the ones that are found on both lists.
Oh, I see. So it's
So-
just, it helps to it's just work. I mean, you can
Yeah.
do it manually, but
I could do it manually,
Take you a
but
long time.
it saved me so much time.
I see. So now you can do this very quickly and do this anywhere, basically.
Saves
Yeah.
us time in the office and keeps us on the ground.
Yeah.
I see. Instead of
So,
like calculate. Now, how did the state know what goes where? That was over time, and
Along
The old botanist.
consensus. You have
Okay.
a lot of scientists that decide on different things and come to an agreement of what should be or what shouldn't be. Mostly it's just what is here before we plant stuff, basically. You know.
now what are some of your favorite parks in the community? I mean, obviously this is probably one of your favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Navarro Parks District.
But what other parks?
My model for what I want to see happen to the Navarro Parks District is Bath Township up in Summit County.
Okay.
I'm involved up there through some of my professors. Our field station at the University of Akron is at the Bath Township Park System, and they've done amazing wetland restoration work up there. It used to be owned by Firestone, the guy that operated Firestone. I don't know what his what his full name was, but Mr. Firestone, for lack of a better term.
What's that place called? Bath.
Bath Nature Preserve.
Okay. So
Anyways, they have an amazing level of community involvement, and their economy up there has gone post-farming, so they don't really have a whole lot of farming going on because all of the constituents have too much money to do that. So that's, I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but where their economy is, they don't need to have the farming as much. So all these farms would be getting sold off to housing developments.
I gotcha.
And in order to prevent that, the township is buying up old farms and turning them into parks. And then they turn that park over to the University of Akron, and they do research on it. So we're basically doing that on a much smaller scale in a little bit lower market.
Okay, so see, what type of challenges have you had in doing this? You know, you've touched on some things, but obviously saving time is great. But what other challenges have you experienced in the?
Main challenges have just been A, raising enough funds, and B,
Yeah.
just spreading the word. Since we started kind of later in the year, you can't really plant a lot of new plants in the winter
Yeah.
time. So most of the winter we've spent, just on community outreach and just spreading the word.
Okay.
And then through doing that, we've started securing funding. So now we can actually enact our plans come
Okay.
springtime and
Okay.
get some stuff done.
So what are you doing? Any educational programs?
Right now, the only thing we have running for an educational program is we just set up the Robert M. Hess Conservation Scholarship. So
Okay.
that's open to Stark County students that are pursuing a career in conservation. Effectively, we're trying to find the next guy that wants to do what I'm doing.
Oh, I see.
We're trying to figure out where the next biologist from the next neighboring school district is,
I
so
see.
that we can get them before they even go to college and before they think, oh, I have to go off to Akron and I have to go off to Columbus in order to get the next big job. No, we want you here. We want you to lead the conservation efforts in your hometown because you're the only one that has the connections to do that.
So your background, you're getting a degree in
Biology.
biology.
General track biology.
Okay. And so what would be like your utopia vision, so to speak? I mean, how do you intend to make money yourself in the future, and what would be? I mean, is there a utopia you would see for Wild Stark? That makes
Well,
sense.
I mean, I don't really know how I'm going to make money in the future.
Okay.
I haven't gotten that far. I have a couple months to figure that out
Okay.
before I graduate. But I would really like to see Wild Stark expand to the point where we can afford to hire me as a
Yeah.
full-time biologist. That's really the goal.
Okay.
But I'll be the first full-time biologist, and that way I can devote as much time as possible to projects in Navarre and getting things done on the ground, whether that's just me out there cutting invasive species or whether I'm actually taking data down. And,
So what does a biologist do exactly? Just go out and go in the woods and tickle man, or what?
Most of it is seeing the ability to gather information from something. So I saw the wetland and I saw a question. How does something become a wetland from a ditch?
Okay.
So I wanted
see.
to document that process. So I set up a study, and we only ran 2 years of it, and then it got so cold that the burning that we did, we can't tell if that's actually doing something or if that's mostly the cold that did it. We can't attribute it either way because this year has been such an outlier. Things like that.
So you've always had kind of a fascination for wild things, and
I was
since a child,
raised
or-
there in the park. My mom
Okay.
took me to catch frogs and release frogs.
Okay.
And looking at the fish and flipping over the rocks and trying to find snakes. That's always been what I've been doing. So now I just get to do it at a higher level. Tell other people about it. That's the important part.
Yep.
So what would you say is your I don't want to put this, but like you're just like, oh wow, this is so exciting. What really makes you when you find some new species, or what? Like you're out, are you more excited out in the woods, or just looking at the paperwork? I mean,
Oh, I do not like the paperwork, but you got.
but Gemini obviously makes that easier, right?
What's that?
Yes.
Gemini can be like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gemini gets me through
That's
that.
not like a caveman.
Yeah.
yeah.
I really like to just be out and looking at fish. Fish are my real passion.
Okay.
But plants is a lot easier to study because they don't move. You know what I mean? They stay where you put them. So it's a lot easier to watch a plant over the course of 2 or 3 years than it is to watch a single fish over the course of 2 or 3 years. That's about impossible to do.
I see.
They don't take Sharpie markers very well. Doesn't stick.
So, what are some of the visions for the future as far as like practical, real things you're going to be doing this summer or for spring? You're planting these plants, right?
Yeah, we've got.
When are you going to start that?
Ideally, we would have had it done this week, but it's
Okay.
not quite there yet.
Okay, it's
We
almost-
were planning on buying seeds. We voted to do it, and we allocated the funds, and then we all got sick.
Oh,
So
yeah. Okay.
we haven't been able to get that ordered yet. We're kind of looking through some
Kind of a
bank
week or two
projects
delayed
there.
currently.
How much are seeds for what you're?
We have, I think,
We
about
allocated,
$400
yeah,
allocated,
Okay.
just shy of 400.
which is only enough to do about 2/10 of an acre. That's not much at all.
Okay.
I mean, if we wanted to seed the whole woodland there, we would need $5,000. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It would be an insane cost if we wanted to put it all out at the proper seeding ratio.
Now, how do you go about planting? I mean, how many seeds do you put in it? What's the ratio where
So each different seed mix has its own recommended spacing.
Mhm.
Basically, they send you this weight, and this weight is proper for this amount of land. It's different for every mix. So we order it by the amount of land that we're trying to cover, not by weight, because obviously the weight changes. I don't think I answered the question very well there, but
so like if you got what'd you say? How big a space are you dealing with? To put the seeds.
so the wetland is 1/10 of an acre, and the
Okay.
pollinator meadow is about 2/10 of an acre. We'll
Okay, so are you just going to
underseed the
scatter them or?
meadow. So it'll be mostly scattering, but scattering with a couple extra steps. We'll go out, we'll rake up the ground that's there a little bit,
Okay.
so that we can get the seeds underneath the grass, and then we're going to use the grass that's already in place as our cover crop, so that hopefully we don't have as much predation from deer and birds and whatnot.
How do you keep track of what goes where? You just have do you have like a
But
map or something?
we have a map that we came up with,
Okay.
but it's not set in stone so much. It's mostly just we know, because we've been out in this area for a while, what area stays wet in the summer, what areas don't.
Okay.
And we have that mapped out, and we're gonna put some swamp rose mallow in the wettest part of the pollinator meadow so that we get some pretty flowers, and then we'll put a bunch of which that is technically a wetland species, so it needs to be in the wettest area.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a bunch of milkweeds that are just uphill of that. Those are kind of an intermediate species. Some prefer wet, some prefer dry. So we won't know exactly which seed is which one, but we will know that there's a group of seeds here, and the ones that fall on the right soil for what seed they are will grow. So we don't really know how to do it perfectly. We're relying on random chance
Okay.
to work out properly.
Now, have you had any? You said the vice president is a biology teacher.
Yeah.
Has there been any other like experts from the community or in general that are kind of like, hey, do it this way or do it that way or?
So every time that I change one of our research methods, I usually take it to my professors and
Okay.
show them, which I won't have as easy of access to that in a couple months, but I'll still have their email, so I'll still be able to
Yeah.
go back to, at that point they'll be colleagues, and ask, hey, do you think this is a logical way to do this?
I see. So, are there any like biology type groups in Stark County or in your area? Is there meetup groups or I don't know? I'm just asking.
There's some. The biggest one that you'd probably talk about is the Wilderness Center, which Kane has a lot more experience with than I do.
Yeah, Wilderness Center is another nonprofit in the area. They have a big building and their own trails.
Yeah.
In Wilmot, Ohio. I started out, I mean, growing up, I pretty much lived there, like Ben
Oh,
was
really?
talking about, Bethlehem Park. I would go walk those trails. They have a nice pond with a pavilion.
Yep.
You could feed the fish, and I loved doing that. And
Do you go to the astronomy club or?
yeah, I was for a little bit.
Okay.
But, you know, I started out volunteering with them, actually.
Okay.
And through volunteering for them, I started to grow my love for the outdoors. And Ben is more interested in fish, and through being out there, I'm more interested in plants. And, you know, he likes finding the fish. I like going out and hunting the invasive species and tearing them out of the ground. Because that's most of our volunteer work has been removing invasive species.
Which
from
would be
different
what,
preserves.
like poison ivy and.
Poison ivy is actually good for the ecology.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it, but it is.
Okay.
So the main one we've removed have been bush honeysuckle and autumn olive. They're like a
Okay.
shrubby kind of thing, and they grow quickly.
They
and,
just take invasive species. You mean just takes over everything?
yeah, it grows fast and just
Crushes it.
destroys the competition.
I
The
see.
most important thing is that an invasive species doesn't have a natural competitor or a natural predator. So you've got a multiple of those. There's no native species that's going to eat that multiple of those. Now the birds will eat some of the seeds, but they're not hurting the plant when they do that. They're spreading the seeds. Whereas a native spice bush might get chewed on by a deer because the deer evolved in the same place as the spice bush. So the deer knows to eat the spice bush, but the deer doesn't know to eat the thorny bush that's next to it.
Gotcha. Okay, well that's really exciting. I mean, I've learned so much just in this little interview with you. I mean, I didn't expect to. I really didn't know what to expect, but very exciting. So, how can people donate to the project? I see a link on your page,
Yeah,
and that goes to let's see here.
Goes to
Donate
our
online.
foundations, PayPal
Yeah.
for donation.
PayPal, Venmo. I don't know if the link's set up on there. Yeah, for Venmo
Okay,
too.
cool.
And then we've taken donations, you know, in person, cash and check too. So we made, I think, $30 on PayPal through our first little fundraiser we had going, which, I mean, any bit counts. I mean, it's nothing to scoff at. I mean, the first, you know, shreds of dollars we could throw in to try to contribute anything to this were just as important as anything else. Any amount of money, anytime, anywhere, it means a lot and really helps us out.
Okay. So, are you going to look into grants and things like that?
Right
Yes.
now, we're not old enough as an organization to get some of the
Yeah.
highest level grants, but in a couple of years we will be. We help the Stark County Federation of Conservation Clubs with their grants. Our being in the Blue Wildlife Building really makes it easy for them to get higher level grants. Just because they just changed the way that all the grant system works,
Oh, really?
and
Cool.
it's all goofy now.
What is the Blue Wild building? What are you talking about?
It's just the easiest way to describe it because it's a big
Big,
blue building.
yeah.
It's on the south side of the fairgrounds. If you
Oh,
know
okay.
the racetrack, you got the grandstand, and then over on the side you've got the Blue Wildlife Building.
Yeah, to help better explain, if you're looking at the grandstands from the field, your right side would be all the 4-H animal buildings. The left side you see the rides at the fair. Well, the blue building that we're talking about is to the left of those rides, the very left of the park.
Okay, the fairgrounds are right there. Right, is that right? Okay, there's words. So the fairgrounds are right here. So the grandstands are. I need to turn on the
Satellite view.
satellite view. There we go.
That'll help.
Okay, so where's north?
Go to the south edge of the fairground.
Okay, that would be this street. Raff? Yeah. Okay, it's not loading the layers. Oh, there it goes. I think. Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay,
keep
so we're
going
looking
south.
at it's corner of Raff and Wirtz. So
Going south.
go south more.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Raff cuts off there. Duh. Okay, now I see. Okay, so I got the track here. And there's the grandstand. This building.
That building.
That's
That
it.
building. Yep.
Okay. So this is this building. Who runs this building, or what's the?
That is, so every year the Stark County Federation of Conservation Clubs rents that out, and
Okay.
we keep saying the federation.
Federation.
What that is a collection of all the different conservation clubs in the county. I think there's almost 20 of us,
Oh.
and we're members of it as well as Wild Stark. But everybody pools their stuff together, and that allows a way for them to get the word out.
You said they don't have any kind of a website or anything like
Their
that.
web presence is not amazing.
Do they have a Facebook page, or
They do have a Facebook page.
I think it's probably
wouldn't recommend going up.
you wouldn't. Okay, I seem to. Okay, let's. I'm gonna go and we're gonna watch this little video you made here. Okay, and for radio listeners, just gotta imagine, I guess. Let's see what we got here.
If you look at the Navarre Wetland Complex today, you'll notice something major has changed. In cooperation with the Erie Valley Fire Department and their Explorer program, the Wild Stark Foundation for Outdoor Education conducted a prescribed burn on November 4th, 2024, in hopes of documenting the rewilding process of the wetland. This winter created such an outlier in our small data set that it renders the planned study null and void. While this may seem like a bad thing, we see it as a call to action. Currently, the plants in the park are frozen off and dead. All of the invasives seem to have disappeared. We see this as a perfect opportunity to accelerate our old plan and begin reintroducing native species this spring rather than waiting for 2 years as we had planned. By increasing the floral diversity, we will bring new species of native insects, birds, amphibians, and reptiles. Rewilding this wetland will have a positive impact for the ecology of the entire Navarre Parks District. With your support, we can turn this wetland into a shining star for the Navarre Parks District. If you'd like to help us accomplish our mission, join us or donate at wildstark.org/involved.
Alright, so wildstart.org is the name of the website, and if I go back, I can hit the escape button there. There we go. Yeah, it's very exciting. I will have to, I'm going to like your page from my business from the Neopa page.
Thank you.
So we can kind of get more networked. I mean, we're community based ourselves, and so it's always good to find other people in the community doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be it whatever it is. We're kind of more music and mind control, but or that's why I brought you guys here to help, take it up a notch. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So okay, well, it's again, it's wildstark.org, and you can find out all about them. And I appreciate you guys for coming out today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
We're you got all kinds of material. I've learned so much just from asking you questions, and I mean, it's interesting when you start to dip into something. Pretty soon, you go deeper and deeper.
Yep.
I mean, I use AI all the time to do all kinds of things, and it's just incredible. Just what you can learn, and like you're saying, getting data. I'll do it. I'll spin it all together and rewrite it. Do it this way. Just absolutely amazing. So. Thanks again for coming, and we'll look forward to hearing more about what's happened in the next coming years and stuff like that. So.
Cool.